to books and things. If you've missed me the last couple of weeks, seems like everything is planned on a Thursday night. And like Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, meetings. And so anyway, we had a couple of weeks off, but I'm back. And tonight's guest is Tage Wright, T-A-G-E, so you pronounce that. And Tage is a local author, born in London, and grew up in Center Groton, graduate of Fitch Senior High School, worked at Electric Boat, and then joined the Navy. He's been busy. He served in Vietnam, Theater of Operations in Korea. He also served 7 years in the Army National Guard, worked for Pfizer for 19 years and several other biotech facilities. He also ran a home improvement company. Married to Cynthia since 1972. They have 3 children and 9 grandchildren.
Yes. Welcome
to my show.
It's a pleasure.
And he's an author. So we're going to discuss his books. And he's got a few. You've got amazing. I've only got 2, but you've done a good job. So tell me about what made you start writing?
I've always wanted to be a writer. When I was in the Navy, I wanted to write. I just didn't have enough life experience until I actually got out of the Navy and went along a few years, and I started writing a series. I originally wanted to write just a short mystery.
Yeah.
I had it in my mind that this is what I was going to do. It was just going to be a short little mystery. But as I started to develop the characters, they took over. And next thing you know, I have a trilogy. I have 3 books.
Wow.
And the last one's like 700 pages. But the characters just took over. I remember hearing an interview with another local author. I can't remember his name right now. And the gal that he was, one of the gals that was talking to him said, you know, this one character, she was so vulgar. And the author said, I know, and I couldn't get her to stop. So then I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking that's what happens when I write. I start out. I don't have for the fiction that I write. I don't have a set plot. I have an idea, and then the characters kind of go places.
Yeah.
One character in this the first novel, I thought what a great guy. This would be a great character for the story. 2 chapters later, he was dead.
Oh.
So
You're supposed to kill the star.
That's the way it goes.
Well, that's interesting. I don't write fiction. I think of it, but I can't. I just can't get into writing. I write historical or
real life stuff.
Memoir.
Real life's too scary.
Yeah.
It is. It's too scary. I have never been able to watch Schindler's List.
No.
Because it's real. I can watch all kinds of other shows that are really a lot of violence in them, and it doesn't bother me. But I can't. I just couldn't watch that movie. It's because it's real.
I can't watch or read things that are not possible.
Oh yeah.
You know, science fiction stuff. Although 20 years ago that science fiction stuff was junk, and today it's happening.
Yeah. Who knew Star Wars?
Star Wars, landing on the moon. When I was a kid. My dad and I would talk about it. He said, you know, someday they're going to go to the moon. I go, yeah, sure, Dad. But he was a big science fiction reader.
Oh, yeah.
And we did it.
Well, I can remember when I was a kid, we didn't have all these electronic things. So we had to read.
Yeah.
And I remember reading When Worlds Collide. It was, I think it was 2 or 3 books.
Yeah.
And, it was When Worlds Collide and After Worlds Collide. So I'm reading When Worlds Collide. And I'm sitting there, I'm just a kid, and I'm reading this book, and then I'm thinking, I got to do my homework. And then I thought, well, what's the point? The world's ending. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, that's the book.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what reading can do for you.
Yes.
That's why I like to write.
Well, it's imagination, too. When you're reading it, if you can put the reader's mind into the book, and the reader's reading that stuff going, oh, my God, and goes over and locks the windows and the doors, because now he's scared.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everything I've written is fiction, with the exception of this guy, Little Things. And Little Things is just my writings on the little things in your life.
Yeah.
Because it's the little things that shape you.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the little things that point you in different directions. Like there's the first chapter is Who's Your Hero?
Yeah.
And it talks about the fact that we can all be heroes. It's not limited to guys like Alvin York, and how many people out there actually know who Alvin York is? And it's, you can, each day of our lives, we are shaped by the little things around us. One chapter in there is called What's in Your Orange? And I got that
I
from...
didn't get that far.
Oh, yeah, I got that. That's from a guy by the name of Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he was a motivational type speaker.
He just passed away in August, I think.
Yeah. And he wrote some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, we're like What's in Your Orange talks about what we put into ourselves. By the things we watch on television, the things we see, the things we do.
Yeah.
And those are the things that shape us. But he said something in his talk that really, I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. He said, when you squeeze an orange, what comes out? And I thought, well, orange juice, geez, come on. And then he asked another question, which I thought was even stupider. He said, why? Well, it's what's in there. And then you begin to realize that what's inside of us isn't always what's on the outside.
No.
How we are, what kind of a person we are, isn't always obvious. Most of us are really good actors.
Yeah.
And we're, and when you get to be an adult, that's why I like kids so much, because they haven't learned how to lie.
Yeah.
They haven't learned how to deceive you. Whereas the adults know how to do that.
Yeah.
And if you squeeze a person, then the real things that they've put inside themselves come out.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of what's in your orange is put the right things inside, so that when you're under pressure, the right things come out.
Excuse me,
I had one of those last week.
Yeah. But you're right. It is the little things that change you daily. You're going maybe this way, all of a sudden, little thing takes and bends you around and going in another direction, and without even thinking about it.
Absolutely. There's a chapter in there too called "Are You a Fault Finder?" There are a lot of us who, we just know when we look at somebody, we can figure out the faults in somebody right away. We've got them all pegged.
Oh yeah.
We know exactly what's wrong with them, and it's just a book about things that you can do to help yourself. And I hope that anyone who reads it finds something in there that helps them a little bit, because at the end of the day, it's what we shape ourselves into that's important.
Yeah. Well, it makes you think. The book does make you think about little things like heroes. The heroes section was good. I read something else too that now that's slipping my mind because there's not much left. And
I figure mine's like a computer that's overloaded.
Oh yeah.
I put something in, something has to go out. So
yeah, immediate shut off. Whoops.
There you go.
But now what are these books about?
All right, this is the Brotherhood of the Sword trilogy, and if you I don't know if you can see this guy here, but his eyes are red.
Yeah.
And because see, I have not science fiction, but I have a little bit in my books that you might call. Geez, I don't know what the heck you call it. But basically, it's about an outfit called the Brotherhood, and they're really a bunch of bad guys. What I did is I worked on a theory that in the scriptures where it talks about the mark of the beast 666, I started thinking, well, what if it doesn't mean a number? What if it's a number of men? What if Lucifer has the ability to have 18 individuals show up on the earth at different times that are kind of working his agenda? So I started working that idea, but it's important. It's important that you have a believability.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, you have trouble with science fiction because you can't believe it.
Exactly.
So I try to make it so that you can believe that it's possible. And I really have a hard time with when you write stuff that just can't happen.
Yeah.
It just can't happen. And I find myself watching movies and television shows and saying, wait a minute.
Yeah, this isn't going to happen.
That's
it. You know,
why would you do this? You know, like, but, and that's what this is based on. And then this guy right here is a rare encounter. That's a play that was done at a local playwrights festival.
Really?
And it's about a guy who's lost everything. His wife doesn't know that they're destitute. They live in a city. He comes from a rich family, and he's gotten to the point where he just wants to end his life. So he goes to a park to commit suicide. But I'm going to remind you that it is a comedy, and it is hilarious. He goes to the park and he meets a bum, and in the cover picture, that's myself, and that's Clarence Benedict, whose brother happens to be Jeff Benedict, who is a local guy who got quite a few books on.
Yeah.
In fact, I think he's a writer for Sports Illustrated now too.
Yeah. Was on the casinos.
Yeah, he wrote up the one Without Reservation.
And the New London
Pink House
Massacre over there.
Yeah,
Pink House.
Yeah, but it's about really having a second chance.
Huh.
The bum in the book that he meets, who's had a much worse life than he's had. And the best part about a play versus a book is I was sitting in the audience when they were doing this at the Playwrights Festival, and I really liked that they were actually laughing in the right places. In fact, they laughed at a few things that I didn't even know were supposed to be funny, but that was fun. That was fun. One of the important things that I got out of working on this, the little things, was that I get a perspective on my own life, things in my own life that affect me. The last chapter is about my dad, and he's passed away 2 years ago, and I still have trouble talking about it. I used to call him every day. But if you're a father, you know, anybody can have a kid. Anybody can be a father.
Sure.
But it's really, not everyone is a dad.
No.
Not everyone does the job that they're supposed to do. And in today's world, it just seems like people ignore the things that are really good and important. In that last chapter, I talk about my father, and the title of it was A Hero Died on Sunday. Sorry, I just have trouble talking about my father.
Yeah, sure.
But he was a great guy. I mean, he was just a guy. I mean, it's not like he was a war hero or anything like that. He was just a guy, but he was a terrific father.
Yeah.
You know.
He's your hero.
Yeah. To me, he was my hero, and I'll never forget the. I had a Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, 59 red one, and he went to work one morning, and when he came home, my brother and I had decided after he went to work that we were going to build a dune buggy.
Oh.
So he went to work and the car was in one piece. But when he got home, we had already cut it in half and taken the top off, and we were trying to figure out how to put it together to make a dune buggy.
Great idea.
Yeah. So we surprised my dad.
Yeah.
But
did the dune buggy get built, or did it go to the junkyard?
It ended up with the front end went to the junkyard, and the back end stayed in the backyard for years until my father took the engine and he built one.
Oh, really?
And I swear he did it just to show us that it could be done.
Just for spite.
Yeah, I mean, and here's a guy who I don't think he got out of the 3rd grade or 4th grade. I mean,
Wow.
But there's something else.
Oh, that's cool. And now, what is your latest book?
The one I'm actually have a project going right now.
Do you?
The project I got going right now is called A Borrowed Life, and it starts out with it's about terrorism. It's about a group that has a planned attack on the United States. I use a lot of what's going on today.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And I use a lot of the failings that we have to allow this kind of thing to happen. And basically, I started out with the special ops troops, that guys that are in Pakistan looking for this device. And I'm not sure how it ends. I haven't got there. I'm 2/3 done, and I've got everything all lined up. And I told you about one time when I talked to you, I told you about Project Wonder Bread.
Yes.
And I was actually talking to my dentist, who was another Navy guy, about it, and I had him going. I told him Project Wonder Bread was the Soviet Union's answer to the Strategic Defense Initiative, because they were worried, it was Star Wars, right? They were worried that not only could we stop their first strike, but we could stop their retaliation. So if we made a first strike and then they went to strike us back, we could stop them. So they came up with Project Wonder Bread. And what they did is they developed a 50 megaton bomb that was designed to be land exploded, not in the air, but exploded on the ground. And they were going to assemble them in the United States, and they were going to hide them in Wonder Bread trucks.
Yeah.
And just drive the truck to the location and boom. I mean, because if you think about it, back then,
Yeah.
who paid any attention to a Wonder Bread truck?
Yeah.
I mean, they were everywhere. And so, and I said to my dentist, I said, have you ever heard of that? And he says, no. And I said, well, that's because I made it up.
And today, there's no more Wonder Bread trucks.
No, I know. I said, it just goes to show you, not everything works.
Yeah. Woulda though. Coulda.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
That's funny. The Wonder Bread Project. Oh my word. Now, where are your books available?
Well, everything's available on Amazon,
Okay.
and they're available in Kindle format. And if you have I forget what the name of it is, where you Prime, Amazon Prime, you can borrow them for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the best part is, I still get paid.
Really?
And not only do I get paid, but I get paid more than if I sold it, which
How's that work?
I don't know how that works. But
you borrow for free, but you get paid more.
But yeah, they have a pot that they put together, and then for every one that's rented, they divvy it out. And because I had a friend who wanted to read my books, and he had Amazon, but he didn't have Amazon Prime. And I said, well, this is what you do. You can have a free trial, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
I said, borrow my book, read it, and I will get paid. And then just tell them, well, I don't think I want to pay for the Amazon
You got
Prime.
30 days.
Yeah, 30 days or something. So, and he did, because I couldn't believe it. I got paid for when he borrowed the book.
That's something.
I can't figure out how this world works. It's just crazy.
I have to check with mine, because I got both books on Kindle and or ebook, and
Yeah, it's a set thing that you have to set up. You'd have to set it up. But anybody who's interested in getting a book in print, you can Create Space is the way to go, because you can get these guys. It doesn't cost you anything to set up to have it in print, and then you've got it all set up. They print it. You order the copies.
yeah, they do it very well, a very good job, and they're quick.
Oh, and you only pay for the books you buy.
Yeah, unlike some companies that make you buy 100 books.
Well, the Operation Armageddon, the three books are basically Operation Armageddon, Project Vengeance, and Project Doppelganger. Do you know what a doppelganger is?
No.
Doppelganger is a ghostly double.
A ghostly double.
Ghostly double, yes, because in Operation Armageddon, they plan on taking over the government they're going to blow Washington up with a nuclear bomb.
Oh, good.
Okay. And I was convinced that when I heard, I came up with the way that they were going to track these terrorists in the story, and then all of a sudden they started I find out they're actually doing that, and I was convinced it was because I sent a copy to George Bush, and he took my idea
And ran with it.
And I talked to a guy who was in counterintelligence. He said, "No, Tage." He says they didn't do that. Honestly, I know the guy that came up with that plan, and it wasn't you. So I was so disappointed.
Wow. Yeah.
But and Project Vengeance is the second book in the series, and that's about what happens when the Brotherhood goes after the people who turn state's evidence against them in the Armageddon. And Project Doppelganger, the ghostly double, they're doing the same thing, only they've created a virus that can alter your genetic code. So what they do is they're making duplicates. So if we were to use that virus on you, we could make you look like me, only shorter.
Yeah.
So, but a friend of mine who was a doctor of some kind of chemistry or something, we were sitting at dinner with him, and I was explaining it to him, and he said, "Tage, it's not possible. The genetic code is too intricate. It just wouldn't work." And his daughter's sitting there listening, and his daughter goes, "Dad, you haven't seen Star Wars?"
Yeah.
So.
And plus we can make a animal from another animal.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they can genetically alter to get different eye colors and things like that in animals. So, I mean, even though it's very complicated, it's not really unlikely that they couldn't do it.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past them in anything. I mean, when they got this 3D printer that'll make legs or anything else that you want from it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how that works. I don't know.
And Jay Leno has one in his garage, and he makes parts for his cars. And I go, how do you do that? I'm too old to understand this stuff.
That's got me kind of, there's certain things in technology that I think are okay, and other things that kind of scare me.
Yeah. They'll be making organs and things on the.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a kidney? Well,
we'll construct it.
That's crazy. But I think you'll have to come to our Kappa meeting. And,
yes, I'll do that.
And learn some of the other, I see some of the other ways people are selling books. And now you don't have any book signings coming up.
No. As I told you earlier, I was thinking about this summer doing a gas station book tour.
Yeah.
Where I actually have one gas station now where the gal is talking about putting books on some of my books on her counter, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. In other places, there are consignment shops.
The other thing that I was thinking, I'm going to look into this. Every hotel has a place where they sell books or different things. And what's to stop you from putting 2 or 3 copies in each one?
Yeah. And the nice thing about consignments or hotels or gift shops is that there's not a lot of books in there.
No.
Whereas a bookstore, you got 1 million books to look through. So the other places, people's looking around, they all of a sudden see a book, and they say, wow. And there was a consignment shop in Stonington. I used to sell quite a few books then. I was the only book. And then they went out of business.
There you go. Well, I'm convinced that I was causing the biotech plants to go out of business.
No.
After I left Pfizer, I went to a place in Rhode Island, and they folded. And then I went to another place that was in Massachusetts, and that was too far for me. So I got a job at another place, which ended up being Dow Biopharmaceuticals in I think it was in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And they closed that.
Oh my!
I'm like the death knell.
Yeah, you're dangerous.
They hire me, and then they go out of business. Gee.
So are you working now, or are you?
No, I'm what they call semi-retired, I guess. I still do a little bit of handyman work off and on, but
okay.
I would really like to get to a point where I could write books, and that's all I had to do.
That's what I thought, and actually I didn't start writing until 2004. I finished my book in 2004. I started writing it in 1997, I think. It took me 10 years to finish it. And I thought, in retirement, I can sit and write a lot of books. But then you have little things like maintenance in a house and mowing the lawn,
Yep.
and say, well, maybe I'll do that tonight.
Well, the Philip Marlowe series, he wrote, what was his name, the writer of those? He only wrote 5 books.
Really?
5. And he only started writing, if I remember the story correctly, was because he lost his job. So he wrote some books.
Yeah.
And he supported himself for the rest of his life on 5 books.
Wow.
But Philip Marlowe series is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. James Patterson. I think he sneezes a book.
Well, your cousin tells me that I write as well as James Patterson.
Really?
Yes, that's what she.
What is my cousin now?
I don't know, but she edits pretty good.
That's great. James Patterson doesn't even write anymore.
No. Well,
he's got writers.
Yeah, but the other problem is a lot of authors are cookie cutter. They already know, not that there's a problem, but they already know how the story's going to turn out.
Yeah.
To me, I never know.
If we had a lady talk about writing books, and what she said was you should know the beginning, the middle, and the end, and know how to get there.
Well, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Except for me, it doesn't work.
I just in the middle say, "Oh, now where we're going."
I mean, like I said, I was going to write this. I really was going to write this really short mystery about a guy who gets visited by a ghost who wants him to solve his murder, and that's what I started out going to do. And then this character Craig Mason took on a life of his own. The gal that he ends up marrying, Kimberly Shaw, she's a FBI agent that he went, and she every author patterns certain things in their books after their own life.
Sure.
Because Kimberly was actually patterned after a gal who I dated when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah, because she was in, and I'm thinking, this is, it was, and it just went that way.
Wow. Well, I had a couple of announcements to make before he shuts the lights out on me here. Kappa meeting is January 18th. That's Monday night at 6:30, Best Western Inn, Olympic Inn, on Route 12 in Groton. If you'd like to come, the guest speaker is Deborah Alt, who is a songstress and author. And Deborah was on Books and Things a couple months ago, and she's a tremendous lady. Guests are invited. There's no fee for admission. If you'd like to come, email me at santostom@comcast.net. The Connecticut Lions of District 23C is having a fundraiser March 12th at 8 p.m. in Groton Elks Club. It's an adult comedy night featuring 9 comedians, and it's going to benefit the New London Meal Center, the Homeless Hospitality Center in New London, and the Lions District 23C Homeless Initiative. Tickets are only $20. You can contact me for tickets, and I'll tell you who to go to get them. Coming up, we got Stonington's first selectman, Rob Simmons, Tom Lobato from Park Deck VFW, and a gentleman's going to be discussing PTSD and an Alzheimer's representative. So we got some entertaining guests coming in, some interesting things. And I think I'll be seeing you next week. You should be reading. Cuddle up with a good book, especially on these cold winter nights. This is a great night to just cuddle up with a nice cold book, a nice hot cocoa or coffee, a little something in it like milk. And I think that makes a nice entertainment evening.
Yeah, when I was in the Navy, I think I read every book in the ship's library.
Yeah. Sounds good. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.